Are you listening? Damn.
Yo guys, welcome to another AFC North talk on this New Year's Eve. Shout out to everybody that is joining here the live stream. Shout out to my guy here, Ace, Quincy, and Tony. You know it's a fun one because it's week 17. Before we keep going, make sure you hit that like button, share, and subscribe to the channel. Oh, and there's some things happening over there in Cleveland. We gotta have that soon. But first, Ace, how you doing, bro?
I'm doing good, bro. Getting ready for this game between our two teams. Excited to have the panel back. I appreciate you for coming on to my channel earlier today, us doing that crossover. So I'm ready to get the show rocking.
Tony.
Oh, I'm doing well. I know the Steelers are resting their starters this week. I will not be resting here on the show. Got a lot to say about the Steelers and Browns game.
Cute.
It is what it is, but this year is about to be over in about 8 hours. And if you want to celebrate the year being over with me, because it's still terrible up until the last minute, so we gotta drain the clock out here. 9 o'clock on my channel, I'll be live streaming the end of the year, playing video games, drinking a lot, and this will not be archived, so it's a one-time only type of affair there. So if you guys are interested in doing that with me, and a lot of Browns fans, given the news that just came up today, might want to do that. Hopefully we can, get through it. But that's how
it's smart. It's smart when we, there's a drinking, not to archive any of that.
Oh yeah, most definitely. We're never gonna. That's if you click.
Some of Joe Newman's best streams are archived, but they include a heavy dose.
Shout out to my boy. Anyway, let's get started right away here. Two big marquee matchups, and the thumbnail says it a lot. Win and get in. I'm gonna start with the Ravens, Bengals. And Ace, what do you think about this game, man? What do you think the Bengals want to do in this game?
I think that we've kind of hinted at it. We kind of talked about it. I think that this is the perfect situation for this game to be exciting, right? Week 17, you're talking about 4th and 12. You're talking about the Bengals having, for some reason, when they end the season at home, they tend to win. And I think a lot of people that were in the Bengals community that were talking was like, this sounds like vintage 90s Bengals. Lose a bunch of games early on, win a couple games at the end of the season to kind of prove a point. But I think that makes this game special for a number of reasons. It's A.J. Green's potentially last game with the Bengals. He's known as the Ravens killer. So there's that riding on this game. There's the fact that T. Higgins could possibly break a record. A.J. Green could break Chad Johnson's record, Chad Ochocinco's record. The Bengals could also play spoiler to the Ravens missing the playoffs. I think that there's nothing more than what the Bengals, I guess, players would want is for the Bengals to go out and kind of play spoiler here. We'll see, though. It's also a flip side coin because there's another segment of Bengals fans that don't want to win this game because it could drastically change our draft position. We could go all the way from 5th all the way to 12. So it's I don't know. It's kind of a hit or miss for both sides. And we've kind of seen fractions of the fan base split in half immediately after that last game. But I think that this is going to make the game exciting to watch. Obviously, the first one was closer than the score would indicate, but you guys dominated us defensively on our offense. So we'll have to see what happens here. But I do think that the Ravens should be on notice and should take this game seriously, not saying that they're downplaying it. But this is a dangerous team in Cincinnati that has reeled off 2 wins that I can't even believe that they've done without Joe Burrow. And they do have these guys playing very hard. And I assume that they will come out playing hard with Brandon Allen, T. Higgins, and some of those guys. So I think that the Ravens could realistically lose this game, but we'll have to see how it plays out. I think the Bengals are hot right now, but the Ravens are a team that when it comes to those situations where they have to win, they have proven week in, week out these past several weeks that they can step up to the plate and can do it. They've been focused against the Giants. They were focused against Jacksonville. They've been focused against several teams this season. I think the Steelers as well was a game that they came in ready to play. So they're going to come in here and be ready to take off Cincinnati's head. And the Bengals just really have to be able to respond after that. So we'll see what happens. I'm going to say that the Bengals are going to win this game. I have to go with the trends just because of what it has said, they have shown essentially. But the fan in me that wants the top draft pick, I don't want us to win this game. So we'll see. I'm just going to tune in for a great game. I hope that AJ gets the record, and that's what I'll be watching the game for.
Tony, what do you think about this game, man?
I agree with Z Money in chat says the Bengals are red hot. I agree, red hot right now, coming in on a 2-game winning streak. Steelers helping out that. Listen, this might be some like 6-7 dimensional chess here from Mike Tomlin. Helping the Bengals get some momentum here going into this game, eliminate the Ravens from the playoffs. Now, look, there is like I said, there is a way you can play this out where the Bengals do come up with a win here. I mean, it's a division game. These games are always closer than they should be. This is in Cincinnati, so Brandon Allen looked good. He's looked good at times this year. This is not Ryan Finley. I don't think Ryan Finley's going to be running for any touchdowns in this one. And the Bengals have a good wide receiver core. And if there's one thing you can do at times to that Ravens defense is spread them out and try to beat them that way, even if it is a good secondary. And I guess they're getting healthier now, but that could be a way to win. But look, the Ravens are getting hot at the right time, right? If there's a team that's going into the playoffs that's a feel like, hey, we finally have had it all click, and they've had it click at the right moment, it's the Baltimore Ravens. So hard for me to actually predict the Ravens are going to win this one, but this is one I'm certainly going to watch. And we all remember, what was it, 3-4 years ago when Andy Dalton 4th and 12, he
I don't want to remember that.
Broke Baltimore's hearts. I mean, it's not out of their own possibility because, again, that was a time when Baltimore looked like a sure thing playoff team and Cincinnati was out of it. So, it's possible, but I'm not going to predict it here. I think the Ravens win this game.
Cute.
Come on, man. Come on, man. I know they had a hot couple of games.
Red hot right now.
Oh, okay.
Red rifle hot.
Nah, this ain't happening. The Bengals are not beating the Ravens. The Ravens will come in there as focused as they are, playing as good as they are, as well as they can run the ball, and as well as the Bengals have not stopped the run. There's no reason to unless the Ravens get like Brown's luck on Saturday, that's the only thing I can see that could put this game in jeopardy. But this is a signed, sealed, delivered, put it in glitter win for the Baltimore Ravens. No disrespect to Bengals Nation. I think you feel like you got more than you thought you would have out of these last 2 weeks of the entire season. And, don't overstay your good luck and actually win this game and let me win my $50 bet with Ace when Panay gets drafted 3rd overall, but it ain't by the Bengals. And I'm still collecting on that, bro.
Oh, my God.
Still collecting on that. But, this is not happening. It's not happening. Bengals are going to lose to the Ravens. And maybe the Bengals put up a fight, but nah, man, it ain't about to. Come on, like this ain't happening. This ain't gonna go down like that.
Okay, so let me get here. Misfit Culture TV. Shout out to you. Thank you for the donation. Bengals with the spoiler watch.
The fact that everybody is saying that this could happen is exactly why it won't happen. If we would have kept our mouths shut until Sunday and been like, there's no way, it might happen. But now that everybody's watching it, like this could be a potential upset, it never happens. The one that you're like, oh, this is going to be the potential upset, that never happens. The one that happens is like Buffalo or somebody losing randomly to like a team like Atlanta.
Joe Burrow's clone and Brandon Allen, aka FedEx Air Player of the Week, is coming into this game. Don't sleep on him. Okay. Don't sleep on him.
By the way, go ahead.
No, go ahead, Tony. Go ahead.
Well, I was just going to say,
members had to vote for that.
You haven't talked about this game yet, but I did want to say we should probably talk about the ways Baltimore could still get in even if they lose this game. It's not like they lose and they're completely eliminated. They could still get in.
Okay.
So first of all, Ace, I hate you for that name that you have there. Second of all, let me talk about this game. Look, this is a game that the Ravens definitely are not taking lightly. I'm sure Harbaugh has that 4th and 12 on the loop just so they can remember them, remember the agony. Because we basically the same scenario when we get in. Different in this one because if the Steelers win and the Ravens lose, right, the Ravens still can get in. The Ravens can get in a couple of different ways.
Yeah.
But you don't want to leave it to that chance. All Right now, we're gonna talk about the Browns later, but we have our punter on the C list.
Ooh.
And the problem with the punter more than anything, if it because of field position, obviously it could be problematic. The rumor is Justin Tucker is going to be the punter, but more than that is the holder. He is the holder on the field goals, right? So that could be interesting. Hopefully it is not, but I think, okay, go ahead, Q.
No. I'm not about to hear this all year about how Justin Tucker is the greatest kicker that God's ever made on God's green earth. And then you guys are going to sit here and be like, well, his holder's out, so that might affect him. I get it. Might affect a normal kicker. No. It might affect a normal kicker. But apparently, Justin Tucker is a god amongst men when it comes to kickers in the NFL. So I don't want to hear about his holder. He's the greatest kicker of all time. Nah, we're not doing this.
Remember when Tony Romo fumbled in that fucking Seattle game? Remember?
Well, he better get that up David Beckham style and pop it in because he's the best kicker of all time. No T, hold, no hold. I'm not about to hear Raven fans every time Harrison Butker misses a kick. Here come Raven fans like, people thought he was better than Justin Tucker for a week. I can't believe it. Such disrespect. No. I'm not hearing this from y'all. I don't care who's holding the kicks. If that kick gets held, he got to make it, and even if it don't, he got to make it because y'all talk so much about Justin Tucker being the world's greatest kicker. I'm having unrealistic standards for him. Yes, that's what I'm saying.
I will say, I know the punter's on the COVID list, but like this game should not come down to kicking, Sonny.
I agree. I was just gonna say that, and I like you going through his rant. But look, this is a game that, as I was telling Ace earlier, look. The Ravens right now are offensively playing as good as they have played all year. All year, this is as best as the offense has looked all year, looking like 2019. Then if you see the Bengals game, I think the Bengals defense has been playing better than, that I thought and in the past couple of weeks. But they let Duke Johnson run for over 100 yards last week. And Duke Johnson is not
David Johnson. I will make that correction, Sonny. If you were just looking at the box score, it looked like he ran for a lot. It really was just like one or two runs. It wasn't like every single run was like crazy, but he did have some long runs.
But my point is, even if it is a couple of big runs,
gosh.
the three that we're presenting, they are gonna break a couple big runs each, right? So the offensive side of the Ravens should be way better than this first game that they play against the Bengals. On the other side is the problem, right? The Ravens defense has not been into par to what the Ravens or the Bengals saw on week 4 it was or 5. And the reason is health. Now, Peters practiced for the first time. Jamie Smith practiced for the first time today, although in limited participation. I wonder if they're healthy enough, the Ravens are going to bring it all, right? Because, again, I don't think Harbaugh wants to leave it into chances. The Ravens are also going to blitz. They're not going to stand back and let Allen just pick them apart. They're coming hard. They're going to blitz. So I think this game should be controlled by the Ravens. I'm expecting actually a win similar to the game against the Giants, right? We start hot very quickly. First 2 drives, maybe touchdown, and try to prevent the Bengals to score at all. And then maybe it slows down and the Bengals get some momentum, but not enough, and the Ravens pull a win. I think roughly by 13 points. I'm not expecting a huge blowout, but by 13 points. I think the Ravens, but it will be at 13 points that will feel like comfortable.
I'll tell you what, if Zach Taylor ends the season with 3 straight wins, okay, they may we talk about firing Zach Taylor. They may get him an extension. He may get an early extension from Cincinnati. They finish the season with 3 straight wins, including 2 against Pittsburgh and Baltimore.
Love that name, by the way.
Coaching.
Yeah, so, by the way, we have not mentioned it yet, but this is a Josh Bynes revenge game. Okay,
yeah, he had the same week 4 or 5.
Let me say one thing, Ravens fans. I apologize about Josh Bynes being better than LJ Ford. Josh Bynes is complete trash. Every time I've watched the cut the tape on that I do on my thing when I'm doing film review, it's like, oh, Josh Bynes is trash.
Josh Bynes is Josh Bynes. Look, last year we had a couple of guys like Josh Bynes, Pecco. Pecco was the same way.
Oh, yeah, I can tell you about Pecco. He's trash.
But for the Ravens, if Pecco was there for a very few snaps, he was good. Right? You have to limit his snap. The same thing with Bynes. If you have him there for a couple of snaps, he can give you a lot because he can play smart. But they're both of the.
He can't play smart.
I'm about to say the only game he lived up to them PFF grades was the Pittsburgh game. I was like, oh, look at him living up to them PFF grades finally.
Man, that Browns game was ugly. When I went back, it was just like Bynes was just like not even wanting to tackle anybody. It was it was bad.
He the dude who fell down let Kareem Hunt just walk in at the end of the game, right?
Yeah. So if Baltimore were to lose this game, let's say Cincinnati does pull off the upset, they get in by Pittsburgh winning. Pittsburgh can help them actually get in. They all of a sudden Ravens fans go from cheering for their own team to being Mason Rudolph fans. All of a sudden.
By the way, convenient, right? This Rona's conveniently always helping the Ravens. Always, it always helps.
Oh, you missed the pre-show where Sonny was telling me it's helping the Steelers. Which, again,
the Ravens. It's not helping the Steelers. What the Steelers have to gain from winning? They're literally not playing their starters. They don't care. They don't care. They don't gain anything. They're not going to get the 2 seed. But you know what? Who does gain? If you're going to tell me, oh, they could get the 2 seed if Buffalo doesn't lose to the Dolphins or whatever. If the Buffalo plays Josh Allen, it's a wrap for the Dolphins. Dolphins aren't good. So no. Who stands to gain anything is the Baltimore Ravens, who will have ultimate security. You can lose and get in when you 2 weeks ago you weren't even in a dance. It's just ridiculous, bro.
Great points. Great points as usual.
And by the way, the testing lab is in Maryland. Put the tinfoil hats. Put the tinfoil hats on. There's definitely some home cooking in that lab.
That's not a conspiracy. That's just facts.
Yeah, they kept Dez Bryant out of the game where he was going to get a ton of snaps because that would be helpful for the Ravens. Like, this ain't no game. This ain't no joke.
Here it is. If the Ravens lose and the Browns lose, there you go. If the Colts,
you have the Dolphins winning there, though, which I don't think is going to happen. Buffalo's probably going to win.
If Buffalo wins,
they still get in. Yeah, they still get in.
The Dolphins get in if Baltimore or Colts, the Ravens, or the Browns lose, and then Miami gets in.
Does anything weird happen? What about if Houston were to win? If Houston were to upset Tennessee, send them to 10-6? Anything weird happen there?
Nope.
No, they just flip-flop.
They just flip. Okay.
Yeah.
Yep. So this is just, basically,
if Cleveland wins,
Cleveland has the second worst odds, right? The only team with the worst odds in Cleveland is here in the Colts, and then Cleveland. Yeah. Right. If the Colts by somehow lose to the Jaguars, then Cleveland's in, no matter what.
Gotcha. Okay.
Yeah, I need a draft machine. I don't need a playoff machine. We're not in that. I need a draft machine.
Yeah, we got to do draft network. Draft network mock draft. Let's do one.
So to finish this up, look, I think the Ravens are not going to take any chances in this game. I think the Ravens are coming with all cylinders. They're coming hot. They're going to pressure, try to hit Allen quick and hard. And then on offense, they're also not going to take any chances. You're going to see them because the reality is, even though some Bengals fans like, oh, I prefer to lose, coaching staff, player there, they know if they can beat the Ravens and get them out of the playoffs, that is a huge win, morale they can carry for next year. And that's what you want, right? For the franchise, yes, you want that pick, but you also want that morale. Oh, my God, we went to a 3-game winning streak without Burrow, and we beat the Steelers and the Ravens. Now next, you see, and then you can boost that team. So this is a game that you cannot let them early hang around. You have to punch them in the mouth. You have to just start quick and then don't look behind and just roll with this game. I think
if you go by the favorites, right? If you just go by the favorites in every game, Baltimore does not make the playoffs unless there's an upset in another game. If they lose, yeah.
The crazy thing was just backing on what you just said, Sunday, is Willie Anderson. The last game, he was kind of upset because he wanted the Bengals to get Panay, and I was talking to him like in a private conversation, but he actually had put it out on Twitter. He said that wins don't carry over into the next season from a player standpoint. He was like that players don't care if they win, the last couple of games, they don't feel like that's going to translate, which there's always been this narrative that you can build on it. But him as a player, he like shot that down. He was like, nah, they don't care about that stuff. So it's kind of crazy to hear that from the players' perspective.
Yeah, I'm not surprised. I've seen plenty of Browns team like end the season strong and just to start the season with like a losing streak. Like there's so much time in between there, and then honestly, it's never going to be the same group of guys in that locker room with that kind of momentum carrying over. And it could be something that could be not good at the end of it, right? Because if the Bengals do finish the season out, maybe somebody, Duke Tobin, starts thinking, oh, the offensive line ain't that bad. Maybe the defense ain't that bad. Maybe if we just get Joe, this is the dangerous thought, right? When you end the season well, but you're a bad team, the dangerous thought is if we just get X player back, we could make the playoffs next year. We really don't even have to do much. They have the ultimate if we get X player back. If we get Jonah Williams and Joe Burrow back, we're going to be set. We're going to be all right. And then you go 6-10, and then he's telling you next year, well, that's actually an improvement. And it's just like, oh, God. You know what I mean? So be wary of that. Like, just because you end the season well, you can be sold a lot of fool's gold by just that happening.
Okay, guys, so we have around 270 people. Remember, super chats are available if you want to comment or you have a question. Please forward the super chat. Also, give it a like as we move into the other game. And oh my God, as we are talking, I know players are key breaking news. And before I go here to Tony, there's something I have to say. 3 times a team has had an outbreak. Tennessee before who? Steelers. Baltimore before who? Steelers. And now the Browns before who?
We had our outbreak started last week.
Well,
don't blame the Steelers on this. 3 times this has happened. 3 times it's benefited the Baltimore Ravens who at the facility.
Thank you.
Yeah, if we want to play that game.
I don't know where this is going, but
I would just like to point out the cleanest team in the division without having a whole bunch of people on the C list is the Cincinnati Bengals.
Because you don't have to worry about the C list when you got the actual regular injured reserve list where everybody's getting injured on the Bengals. What are you talking about? Them dudes probably got it. All the players that would have gotten it were just injured at the beginning of the year. DJ Reader, all of your defensive backs, Joe Burrow, half the offensive line, Joe Mixon. What are you talking? Like the C list didn't have to see was like, well, bro, injury already doing my job. I really don't need to be out here. Let me go to Cleveland and get this double shift in and ruin their year because 2020 only got so much daylight left. Come on out here. Bengals the cleanest team. Only because everybody worth getting coronavirus that got hurt already.
Yep. Okay, so let's go with Tony. Tony, what do you think of this game? Because I know your backups are in.
Well, yeah, there's a ton to talk about in this game, right? Because obviously we have all the COVID stuff going on right now. Which may, look, and this started yesterday. Well, I guess it's really started on Saturday, but it's Thursday. If there's continuing positive tests tomorrow and into Saturday, they're going to talk about postponing. They already are talking about postponing this game potentially. And if they do postpone this game into Monday or even Tuesday, we're talking about these 2 teams who could be playoff teams. Both will be playoff teams because the Browns are going to win this game. Having short weeks going into the playoffs cannot happen. That cannot happen. And it should be, and I think it will be, that if there's any talk of this game not being able to be played on Sunday, Mike Tomlin and the Pittsburgh Steelers should take a forfeit. Forfeit the game. I know there's talk about, well, what about the game checks and whatnot? Forget about it. You got to take the bye week here, take the forfeit. The Steelers are not playing to win. They're playing to rest starters in this one. As much as we all Steeler fans want to see if Mason Rudolph can turn it around from last year, I'd rather just take the forfeit and not have to play on a short week. No, thank you. So let's get that out of the way quickly. Now, whether or not it's interesting that Tomlin immediately after the game told Ben Roethlisberger, you are not playing next week. You are sitting down. And there's going to be a lot of starters that are sitting in this game. Cam Hayward will not play. TJ Watt will not play. I imagine Pouncey won't play. DeCastro, in all likelihood, is not going to play. Hayden probably won't play. There's going to be plenty of veteran guys. All the guys who usually get Wednesday off at Steeler practice likely going to get this week off. So you're going to see a bunch of backups in this game. Now, is that smart? Tomlin talks about the idea that there's no longer a bye week for the 2 seed. So we're not really playing for the 2 seed anymore. And I get that. And then I agree that taking away the bye week does take away a lot of the advantage of having the 2 seed. But let's not forget, the 2 seed does also guarantee you a home game in the second round of the playoffs if you make it that far. So as Steeler fans right now, we're talking about, is this team playing a home game in round 1? We know that because they won the division. But if they were to win that game, they're likely going to Buffalo once again. And you look at this team and specifically look at one player and look at his home road splits. Ben Roethlisberger is a completely different player on the road. And it, for whatever reason, look, there's no crowd noise that he has to deal with, right? But the traveling, whatever it is for Ben, he's had this at times in his career. The road splits for him are bad. And we talk about, what happened with this offense. That's the other thing. Sitting Ben Roethlisberger in this game after playing 2 good quarters. Again, are we sure, Steeler fans, that we actually know that the coaching staff understands what went right against Indianapolis? Because like I've said in the past, like if the Steelers had done what they just did against Indy, but they did it against Cincinnati, where they came out, played like crap, figured it out in the second half. Again, are we putting up banners and everything? We did it. No, mission accomplished. Absolutely not. Absolutely not. Right? It's not mission accomplished. I still don't believe that this team actually understands what's wrong with this offense, because week in and week out, we come in with a game plan that does not work and hasn't worked for weeks on weeks on weeks. Now, people say, hey, look, it's just Ben. Ben has to play better. And there's certainly something to be said for that, because there's no amount of game planning around what Ben Roethlisberger did against Buffalo and Cincinnati, where he was very, very bad. But what happened in the second half here? How is it that for one half of football, this team looks all of a sudden like it did in midseason? I would love to see this team, try to figure that out in this football game. Because, again, I don't know that this team can go into the playoffs and play like they did in the first half of Indianapolis and then just turn around the second half. And, hey, like I said, we're just going to Mr. Magoo our way to a Super Bowl. Like, I don't think that's going to happen. So they got to figure it out. Now, look, I get it, though. This team hasn't had a bye since week 4. It's an early bye week. And technically speaking, players were still practicing throughout the week, so it wasn't a true bye week or whatever. I think that's a little overrated, but we are at the part of the season where wear and tear is becoming a problem. And certainly on the defensive side of the ball, I'm glad that guys like TJ Watt and Cam Hayward are going to get a week off, to rest, because those guys have been playing really well in recent weeks. This is a game where the Browns are going to win. The Browns should win by a lot. Mason Rudolph's going to play. Mason Rudolph, by the way, we've all talked about the Mason Rudolph incident between him and Garrett. Forget about that for a second. Mason Rudolph was trash in that game. I believe he threw not 1, not 2, not 3, 4 interceptions in that football game. That's a game that got him benched a week later. That's where Duck actually came in. That's when all my Duck memes actually started, was because of this game against Cleveland. So, he wants to turn it around. He wants to prove he can be that guy. Again, this is a guy who's a deer in headlights after his first read. The running game, Tom and I know is going to want to run the ball a billion times in this game because they don't want to get any injuries. This team cannot run the football, and they're not going to be playing with a couple of their good offensive linemen. So it's going to come down to Mason. Again, I don't have any faith in this offense. And then defensively, a lot of the cogs that make that defense go, we talk about Watt and Hayward and all those guys, they're going to be removed. Up Williams will likely be removed because, boy, the Steelers just could not deal with another injury at inside linebacker. So the Browns should have some success running the football up the middle, and then they can use the play action and whatnot. Justin Lane, not a rookie, but a second-year corner on the outside who can be a bit handsy. And when you talk about play action, does he get beat? Does he start getting called for PI? Look for a lot of that. I would love for the Steelers to win this game. As much as funny as it would be to watch this be the way that the Browns get eliminated from the playoffs, it's a dream. It's a dream. It's not reality.
So we had a couple of back-to-back super chats for Misfit. Denzel Ward is out. Defense may step up, hopefully. Yeah, I think it's the Pee Wee team for the Steelers should be that defense should be.
The tough part about the Ward thing is that he got put on the list today, which means he's likely out for the playoff game.
It said 10 days.
10 days. Yeah,
he actually has it.
Yeah,
I thought
it
was contact. He
has it
positive.
Yeah.
So it's 10 days, and depending on when he tested positive, it comes down to literally what time he tested positive. I think it's like if it's before like 3 or something, then it gets that day counts into 10. If it's after that, then it doesn't. So it's actually 10, but plus today. So it's 11. Mm-hmm. So if it were just 10, he would be available for Sunday. If giving up though the next Sunday if the Browns get that game. But since it's later in the day after they had practice, that counts as a day he did not have it. So the next day is when his counter starts, which is just kind of stupid, but whatever, man.
Yeah.
Whatever. Remember, there's games on Saturdays too.
I think it depends on.
They're games Saturday, and the Steelers and Browns are likely going to be like that Saturday, afternoon game.
In terms of the defense stepping up, I think it depends on, which receivers are the Steelers sitting. Like, are they still going to let Chase Claypool and those guys play, or are they going to, sit certain ones? It's kind of hard to say which one of them they would actually sit. So I would assume that we would see Mason with all of those receivers there. So
they only carry 5. So yeah, they only carry 5. So
yeah, so I don't know how like Tomlin sits his starters if they only go out like it's a preseason game and then they're just throwing backups in there, or if it's just going to be a backup quarterback that's out there. But it just really depends, and I think it's going to be on Myles Garrett. It's going to have to be on Myles Garrett and that defensive line. That's the only way that they can help with the subpar corners out there without Ward.
Yeah, dude, if Mason Rudolph throws 4 interceptions against a defense that does not have their starting safety and Andrew Sadejo, he's not playing. You might have Ronnie Harrison, which is great, but you don't have your best corner. You're already kind of short when it comes to depth there from an injury standpoint. And by the way, you're out both of your starting linebackers with 2 guys out there when Sione Takitaki and Mac Wilson, who are notoriously awful in coverage. So, like, if Mason Rudolph can't look like an NFL quarterback against this defense, which is already hurt and has stunk, and when it comes to stopping the pass all season, and it now is hurt, as shorthanded as it's ever been, then, like, turn it in, dog. Like, at this point, you should not be in the NFL if you cannot perform in this circumstance. You're going to have your full complement of wide receivers. That does not mean that I think the Steelers are going to go crazy here and score 40 points. But if Mason Rudolph can't put up like 17, you know what I mean? Like, that would be actually, that would be.
Well, shout out to the Steelers front office for trading up and stealing Mason Rudolph from the Bengals. Thank you for that. I appreciate it.
So
they got him with they traded Martavis Bryant, but yeah, you're right. They ended up trading up above Cincinnati.
Thank you.
At Ace, bro. LL, IR list, hold my beer.
Yes, I said that the IR list said C list, hold my beer, like Quincy said.
Yeah, the virus was looking at your roster after all them injuries, like, ain't nobody worth giving this to. Ain't no headlines here. We'll give it to what's his name? What Giovanni Bernard? Nah.
Okay, so Q, floor is yours to tell me. What do you think about this game, man?
I mean, like, I could sit here and try to do my normal thing where I break it down and try to go down trends, but we don't know who's playing on both sides of the football. We have no idea going into this because it does not give me the feeling, unless the Browns completely just shut down and don't practice for the rest of the week, which is hard to imagine, that this is going to stop just here at Denzel Ward. It's going to continue on to the week, and I don't know what the solution is going to be for the league because Tony talks about taking a forfeit. I don't know if the league's going to accept that because it's not up to the Steelers whether they want to take the forfeit or not. It's up to the TV broadcasters and the money that they would lose from not broadcasting that game and all this other stuff. So I don't know what that situation is going to be. Are they going to move this game to Monday and say, hey, if the Browns win, no matter what seat the Steelers are in or no matter what seat technically the Browns would be, they would just play each other again. So that way you can kind of remedy the short week by having them just continue to play each other. I don't know what the situation is. All of that is a moot point if the Browns don't win this game. And that's the end of it, right? We can break it down, who we don't have, who we have. It does not matter. You have to win this game. If this were Big Ben and a healthy complement of Steelers out there and this was happening and you're the Browns, it does not matter. You have to win this game. Like, you want to make the playoffs. The goal this season was to make the playoffs. This is what you have to do. You didn't do it against the Jets last week. Okay, cool, whatever. It was a rough situation. This week, at least you have more lead time to know that this is going to pop up. It didn't come out of nowhere. You got to win this game. You got to beat the Steelers. You got to not get swept by both Baltimore and Pittsburgh this year. You got to do it. Like, there is no ifs, ands, or buts about it. Now, will they be able to do it? No Cam Hayward, no TJ Watt. You should be able to run the ball, especially you have Wyatt Teller and Jedrick Wills back. The bad news is if you don't have those guys back, the guys who backed up those two, ironically, in Nick Harris, who was not good in the guard role against the Jets, and Kendall Lamb are both not practicing right now due to injury. So if those dudes can't play, literally you have no other option. I don't know where you turn to at that point. So they have to play because I don't care who the Steelers got out there. If you don't have anybody to put out there at guard or tackle, like, I don't know how you run the ball. So that's a situation to keep your eye on, right? That can, like, quarantine the offensive lineman, practice without the offensive lineman, because you can't have that happen. They cannot test positive. You cannot afford that to happen. So that needs to be taken care of. Nick Chubb and Kareem Hunt have not had a good game in about 3 weeks. They need to play better. Like, we're talking about both of those guys reaching 1,000 3 weeks ago. They've had like 100 yards combined in the last 2 weeks against New York. both New York teams. It's not good. They're not performing well enough. And to Nick Chubb, I would say he has the excuse of every time he runs the ball, he's such a patient runner. They're just in the backfield when they don't have their full complement of offensive linemen. But still, we got to do something. We got to find a way to get them involved and move the ball with them. Kevin Stefanski's going to have, another tough task as a head coach here against the Steelers with all these weird things going on and how that's going to implement if you make the playoffs and just all kind of just tough stuff for a first-year head coach to handle. And remember, he is a first-year head coach. So that's going to be tough. On the defensive side of the ball, yeah, Ace is pretty right. Defensive line, you got everybody, so you better get there. You better get to Mason Rudolph. You better sack Mason Rudolph. You better pressure him. You better make him hurry up and make bad throws and make your bad backup secondary look like superstars. Make Mason Rudolph look bad. The way you can do that is get pressure on him, take him off his first read, and do that. If you do that, you don't have anything to worry about. The Browns should be able to put up enough points to win this game, and we should be able to get into the playoffs. But if you cannot do that, and you let Mason Rudolph take time off the field, whether he's scoring or not, just driving down the field, and you let him continue to look like he can be an NFL quarterback against you, then you're going to fall into a pitfall where you might not be able to run the ball. You might give the Steelers momentum. You might energize their backups, and you might actually embarrass yourself in Week 17. So for the Browns, this is not about just embarrassing yourself or not. This is about making the playoffs. This is about Week 17 being the start of a playoff run for the Browns. So they have to decide, are they going to do what they need to do no matter what happens to make this a playoff run, or are they going to allow the circumstances to defeat them? I, for one, don't, like in my own life, don't let a lot of circumstances defeat me. If I can hurdle it, I do everything I can. The Browns are in that position. Who are you? Are you going to fold when circumstances come for you, or are you going to stand up, put it on your chest, and roll with it? I want to see what this team has, because last week it felt like they let the circumstances get to them. Oh, we didn't have our wide receivers. Oh, we were missing this guy. Oh, all these things. It's like, okay, cool, but you're playing the Jets. You got to win. So I don't want none of that this week. I don't care. Denzel Ward out there or not. I don't care. Win the game. They don't have Big Ben. They don't have Cam Hayward. They don't have TJ Watt. Those are three dudes who are more important than Denzel Ward that won't be out there. Win the game. Win the game. Get in. And then we'll talk about the circumstances and measure it on a curve like that. But you got to get in before I start giving you any breaks on this whole situation, because the fact of the matter is you would have had two games where if you would have won, you would be in the playoffs, and it would have been against the Jets and the Steelers team that ain't starting starters. And boy, would that be ironic if you would have pulled exactly what the Steelers did to slide out the playoffs last year and losing to the Jets and a Ravens team that was not playing any starters to diddle your way out the playoffs. You do not want to do that. Tony, wasn't that an embarrassing way to end your season and an embarrassing way not to make the playoffs?
Yeah, you lose to the backups. It's not, you can't live that down.
Yep, and you don't want to do that. Do we want to hear Tony say exactly what I said to him all summer? Boy, that Steelers team really broke down at the end of the season and lost to the Jets in a Ravens Ravens team. Do we want this all year? Don't do this to me, Browns. Like, please do not give Tony more leverage.
Even though, by the way, if the Steelers had won that game, the Titans won that week, so they wouldn't have made the playoffs anyway. But it doesn't matter, right? You still lost to the backups. Not a good look.
Yeah. Nope. So, winning you're in, that's the only circumstance that matters. That's the only thing that matters right now. Winning you're in. Hopefully you have wide receivers. The situation is what it is on defense, but at least on the defensive side of the ball, the Steelers really ain't playing their starting quarterback. So winning you're in, do what you got to do. Next man's got to step up. This is what good teams do. Good teams do not allow a team starting their backups, no matter what the circumstance, to beat them in a must-win game. So if you want to be a good team, if you want to be considered as a good team, do what good teams do and win this football game.
Okay, so we have a couple super chats. Let me go here through them. From EC Clipser, I think his question was, okay, so what do you think about the Ravens in this postseason? Look, they're not there yet. As a Ravens fan, I don't want to crown ourselves to the playoffs without winning that game.
Break out the beads.
Yeah, do it. Get the chain out. Get the chain out. Get that chain out.
Get the bead.
The only guy that has been here for the past couple of weeks, just in case, he's been here, sitting pretty.
Get the chain out, Sonny. Why are you being scared?
Hashtag get the chain.
But Oh, the crown. Look at the crown. Okay, but but
It's gonna be the king.
for the Ravens, they should win, and if they win, they're coming in hot. So I like their chances. I think they're gonna be a little bit more battle tested than last year, and that's good. So I like it. Trip says thought it was just Big Ben sitting out for rest. So I renege.
Renege.
Okay, my bad. I didn't. I
Gotta
never
play
said that.
spades, son. He's playing spades.
By the way, Ace, once we get off there, I got a hilarious story to tell you guys about spades.
Okay. I got Browns winning a comfy 32-17. Welcome to the playoffs, Brown. Been a minute.
Yeah, the Steelers, by the way, it's not just going to be Ben. I know Tomlin said Ben is not going to play, but it's going to be. I don't think Connor plays in this game. You know, I think anyone who's at any history, true. But you know, Benny Snell all his 0 yards. You know, maybe we'll see McFarland
pretty good when he played the Browns earlier this season.
That's true. He actually did. Maybe we'll see McFarland get a hat again. McFarland, ever since the 4th and 2 incident, I don't think he's gotten a hat since then. So. Maybe we'll get McFarland back out there. Yeah, and I think Pouncey, DeCastro, any veteran on this team, I don't imagine gets a hat.
Okay. So John here, shout out to you, man. Thank you for the donation. This is an appreciation for Sonny for starting this pod. It's a team effort, man. Great idea, great pod. Just learned of this on Ace Pod today. Yeah, I mean, I will say I put these guys for the first time together, but like I said, it was either Ace or Tony or maybe Quincy said like,
nah, stop playing, Sonny. You the pod father. You are the pod father.
No. Listen, this podcast would have never happened because I left Locked On Steelers in January, and I think we did a crossover like right around then too, and then that's when we talked about doing another show, and I was like, well, I got a lot of free time now.
Oh, breaking news! We just had to pick up a picture of the Steelers running backs.
Are you sure? Does that have a number? Because it looks like the Browns wide receivers last week.
Could be Mason Rudolph. Could be a lot of things.
Okay, and then last super chat before I give my thoughts real quick here. Biography, shout out to you. Thank you for super chat. Quincy, how do you feel about our secondary going forward without Ward if we beat the Steelers? Considering he tested positive. By the way, love your channel.
Oh, my man, you weren't here last time, right, on Tuesday, where I eviscerated this secondary with how they were playing with Denzel Ward. Yeah, I mean, we'll see. We'll see what they turn out there, but this probably means Kevin Johnson playing outside again. He sucks in that position. Means you probably have to put, what's his name, number 20. He's a special teamer, Solomon Thomas, whatever his name is. I forget. Oh my God, I forget his name. But he playing slot. He was god awful at the beginning of the season, so you probably got to slide there. And yeah, more MJ Stewart, Raven fans. Y'all remember MJ Stewart? Y'all remember MJ Stewart covering Mark Andrews? Yeah. So hopefully the Browns can win this game, and maybe more than likely they're going to play, a team like Pittsburgh, who has either been great or either been bad when it comes to their passing offense, and they might get bailed out and get out of this thing like that. But that's literally what you have to hope for, a bad Big Ben performance, and to be able to get this win here to even get to talking about a bad Big Ben performance. That's what you need to sneak out of it. Other than that, the secondary's toast. It sucks. If we play Josh Allen or the Baltimore Ravens with this secondary without Denzel Ward, yeah, there's going to be a 50-point game, and you better hope Baker has a 7-touchdown game in him, which he might.
So right now, I will say for me, for this game specifically, how everything looks lined up, and I'm just going to say it with a caveat, assuming no other major Browns player gets into the Steelers, right? I think, look, the Steelers offense has been bad minus the last half of the last game. So I don't expect them to be better with the backups. They're going to have the backup O-line, and they have the backup quarterback. That backup quarterback gets happy feet every time it gets pressure. I'm expecting that D-line. I think the Browns game should be, we need to hit Mason Rudolph and confuse him as much as possible. And if he throws it high, long, and he gets a touchdown over the top once, that is fine. But hit him, blitzing, not blitzing. You need to just constantly pressure Rudolph, because Rudolph tends to get, like I said, happy feet and go all over the place and start throwing crazy balls and interceptions like that. So I think that is the game plan on that. Look, I think the Steelers, for me, I think they should have not rested the offensive players, at least for a quarter. At least for a quarter, maybe a half, but at least for a quarter. I understand on defense because defensively they have been fairly good for the whole year, and rest fine. But the offense, you just got your mojo back for like a half. We don't know if that is reality going forward. Yeah. So resting them for the whole game is, I think they should have played them for a half. But since they're not playing them, I think this is victory for the Browns. If we flip it on the other side, Baker and the offense, because the receivers should be there, right? Because it should have been a 5A C list because there were none of them.
They still got to pass another.
Well, I think a lot of them got activated today, I believe.
Yeah. So
they got to make it till Sunday. I'm not sure who's going to play. Like I don't know.
The facility shut down, right? So in theory, since they have been isolated, I'm assuming they're not going to get it. My point is, Baker is going to have time. Baker is going to expose this defense because this defense is not their defense, right? It's just the backups. This is nothing against the Steelers. It's the backup, and Baker has been playing fairly well. I know what happened in the Jets, but that was without his weapons. Now he should have all his weapons. I think Baker's going to have a big game. And I think the defense for the Browns, although they're limping, right, they're hurt, or people are on the C list, is that D-line. I think that D-line and the D coordinator needs to, if the D-line's not getting to Rudolph, they need to blitz and they need to hit him. Because I think the offense will do their part. So if the defense just comes up and plays, it stops him in 50% of the time, right? And I think that will be against Rudolph. That's just a low bar. But if you stop them 50% of the time, I think this offense is going to be cooking. I think the Browns win. Yeah, I think they bring comfortably. I think the Browns probably break around the 40s in this game. Because I'm expecting the Steelers to get around 9 points. Tony, I'm sorry. I think the Steelers get around 9 points. I have no faith in Mason Rudolph.
No, well, look, and you shouldn't because he's Mason Rudolph, and we've seen him play. And look, I watched him for 3 plays against Dallas, and I could tell right then, like, it's the same dude. He did have. I will give him credit, though. I will, I hate on him on every show, but I will give him some credit. He did complete actually a nice pass in that game, an 18-yarder to Juju over the middle, a very un-Mason-like throw down the field. Because by the way, Mason Rudolph completed, I believe, 3 passes this year for 9 yards, total. But he did have a nice 18-yarder to Juju in that game. It was called back by offsetting penalties. So, I mean, there's an outside chance, right? And look, the Steelers in all likelihood are going to go into this draft with a late 20s pick. You can argue this could be a time where they could take a guy if a Trey Lance or someone like that were to fall, right? This is the time to take a guy like that, let him sit for a year, then retires after next season. They got their quarterback of the future already with the 5th-year option. But if Mason looks, if the Browns make Mason look good in this game, the Steelers may all of a sudden again think about, hey, maybe Mason's the guy. They don't take a quarterback. You know what I mean?
I would love that.
Well, yeah, I'm sure you would. I'm sure all of you would because
no, I would rather make the playoffs. I don't care. I don't care if you got a decent quarterback out of this whole ordeal. No, just make the freaking playoffs, dude.
Yeah. One other thing I want to bring up about this game, and this is kind of inside baseball for the Steelers in particular, but they are going to have a roster decision to make here. Chris Boswell has been dealing with his hip injury forever now. He did not practice again today. He likely will not be able to play, which is going to mean they're going to have to bring Matthew Wright back up. But Matthew Wright has already done the thing where he goes up from the practice squad twice, which is as many times as you can do it. So they have to bring up they put up to 53, which means they have to cut someone. The last 2 times they've cut people for this, they cut Wisniewski. Wisniewski went back to the Chiefs. The Steelers lose their interior offensive lineman. Okay, fine, because they still had Dotson. They did this again last week with Derwin Gray, who they liked, who came in against Cincinnati and actually looked decent on the interior of the offensive line. They cut him. He gets signed by Jacksonville. So Steelers, whoever you cut someone no one wants, okay? Cut Dobbs or someone, cut Mason. I mean, Jesus, just don't cut anyone that another team wants, because this team, it happened last year. Fred Johnson, who I know Bengals fans don't love Fred Johnson, but Steelers fans, we did love Fred Johnson in training camp last year, and he's only a Bengal because he got cut midseason. So Colbert, watch who you cut, please.
Okay, Ace, what is your thoughts about this game?
First of all, I want a refund on Fred Johnson, so you guys can have him back. But my thoughts on this game is the fact that Mason Rudolph is playing is going to help the Browns, right? And the Browns getting their receivers back, that's going to help. That's going to get that offense back humming. They were definitely at a disadvantage last week. It was like they cut their arms off of that offense. And I think with them having that back this week, I think that they should be fine, especially if those linemen are back as well. I understand Quincy said that you guys had some some offensive line injuries last week. If they get those guys back and the Steelers really come into this game not trying to eliminate the Browns, I think that that's a mistake. I think that it's pretty stupid for them to do that, to come into this game and just kind of let the Browns have it, because the AFC North is the best division in football. And I think that that's still going to be a tough team to have to play a week later. I just don't get it from that standpoint, why they would just essentially hand this game to the Browns. And I think the Browns are going to take advantage of it. I think Baker Mayfield is going to bounce back. I think that they're going to have to depend on that offense. I don't think if you get to 30 that Mason Rudolph is putting up 30. I don't care who he has at receiver. Even if it was Randy Moss, I don't think that he's going to be able to put up the 30 points. So if the Browns can do that, fine. If you're going to give up points to Mason Rudolph, fine. Just make sure that you score more points than them. I think that they will. I think that the Steelers are making a bad mistake. The Bengals, as I said on the last show, we did the same thing. We let the Texans win that last game, and then we had to play them again, and they ended up beating us. And so it's always tough when you put yourself in that scenario. I think that they're making a mistake. I think that, like Tony has said, this is a team that still has had concerns. Even though they came back against the Colts, that does not diminish that they lost to the Bengals, they lost to the Redskins. Well, sorry, the Washington football team. I'm so sorry. Got to get used to that. They lost to teams that they shouldn't have. They've been in games with teams that they shouldn't have. And going into the playoffs, I think that this is the wrong approach for them to take. I think that there's still some issues with this team. But Tomlin knows best, so I guess that's what their strategy is. But I think that the Browns are going to win this game.
So we have a super chat here. So let's get that. At a hot Bengals offense with a cold Ravens defense in Week 17 with the playoffs on the line, what does this remind you of? Nothing.
I'll tell you what it reminds me of. More than 12. My favorite play.
Let me add something from what Ace said here before we roll out, because we were talking about how people can make the playoffs. Ace said something really important here. If the Ravens ended up winning and the Bengals end up winning and Miami loses to Buffalo, the Steelers will be playing the Browns.
Yeah, back to back.
So what Ace is saying is really important, because then the Browns can come in and just roll them back again to the Steelers.
It's surprising, because it's most likely that that's going to happen. The Browns are going to come back and play the Steelers, that the Steelers will be okay with that. But again, if you're the Steelers, look at the record against the Browns. I don't think they're too worried about seeing us just because of what's happened over the last few years. But I would be wary over seeing any division rival 3 times.
Well, it's a bit like who could the Steelers play, right? Realistically, if they get the 3 seed. Who can they realistically play that you would go, that's a better matchup, right? I don't know if they want to play Indy again, because, again, it wasn't like, they shut down Phillip Rivers and that the offense went ballistic, right? They played 2 good quarters, and they were awful in the first half of that game.
And it's very hard for you to play Indy. The likely scenario for the Steelers right now is you either play Baltimore or you either play the Browns. That's the 2 highly scenarios.
And boy, I would rather play the Browns than Baltimore, like if I were the Steelers.
Yeah, if the Steelers, if everything happens,
I get what they're doing. Okay,
yeah, everything happens that it should, right? Which is Buffalo beats Miami and the Ravens beat the Bengals, but the Steelers were to beat let's say that they did play Ben, they beat the Browns. The Steelers would then play the Colts in the playoffs. So do they want to play the Colts again? I don't know. There's no easy team, right? I don't think there's an easy team right now for this Steelers team.
Miami, easiest in Miami.
Yeah, but again, look, that would mean that they got the 2 seed.
Miami's either locked into the 5th.
It's not very likely that they.
It's not likely, yeah. So
it's either 5th or not.
I don't think the Steelers they're not gonna have an easy game in the first round of the playoffs, right? And I'm with you though. I would play the starters at least the first half, and I would play the offense. The defense can rest. Fine, rest the defense.
Exactly.
I would play the offense in the first half. Figure it out, because again, this is a team that's played 16 quarters now. 14 of them, atrociously bad offensive play. So you got to figure that out. This team now. Tomlin, knows like I said, Tomlin knows best. Ben has had this lingering knee injury, whatever that is. So if that's real and they want to give him time to rest that, fine, right? But yeah, I know we're all laughing here because it's Ben Roethlisberger and Ben always has some kind of lingering something. But
does this mean if they make the playoffs, he's going to be completely healthy? That's not good for the Steelers.
I saw he's supporting Mason Rudolph now.
No, he's not. There was already the report of like Mason will not be getting any the whole like Ben and Mason hate each other thing. And it goes back to Ben started that because he's the one who called into that show and said, I don't know, I took a quarterback. So Ben did that to himself. He started the whole narrative himself.
It's typical Big Ben. Anyway, guys, thank you for joining this live stream on New Year's Eve. Hey, have a great New Year's Eve. Here's how we're gonna get demonetized. You can take it out of my my allowance. Fuck you, 2020. Thank you for joining here, at least for us here in the AFC North Talk. It was a great 2020 for the channel. I know 2020 in general hasn't been great, but thank you, everybody. Have a safe New Year's. Spend it with family. Go to my boy Quincy's channel. Enjoy Quincy drinking and playing video games and have fun over there. I'm about a couple hours here to be New Year's over here. But hey, before we go, Ace, where they can find you, bro?
You can find me on New Stripe City. You can also find a crossover that me and Sonny did earlier today there. And yeah, you can find me watching, Andy Dalton's 4th and 12 play over and over again.
I dipped on Game Pass after this. I might need to watch it.
Yeah, you can find me on youtube.com/Quincy Carrier, Twitter at Quincy. You can also find me outside Joe Wood's house telling him this ain't no excuse. Because if you lose this game and the defense plays like dirt against the Steelers and Mason Rudolph, you make Mason Rudolph look like a star, it's going to be like Angela Bassett. Get your shit, and get out.
Oh, man, Tony.
Listen, if Mason Rudolph wins the game, I'll buy a Mason Rudolph jersey. I'll have it ready for Tuesday's show.
Oh, God.
Listen, I'll do it.
Mr. Garcia, hold on. I'm starting my podcast next year. We'd love to have you all. Hey, man, let us know.
Hey, for
We'd
sure.
love to do it. You can find me on Twitter at Steeler Country. You can find me on Locked On Steelers every Tuesday with my friend Chris Carter. I will be there on the Tuesday following the Steeler game. And I know 2020 has been a bad year for everyone, but I just want to say thank you to all the people who have subscribed and watched this channel week after week. We started this in March. Like Sonny said, on just kind of a whim. We had done this on his channel. This has grown. The lengths that this has grown over the years has been awesome to watch. I love interacting with everyone in chat and all of you, Sonny, Ace, and Quincy. This show has been a joy for me all year. So happy 2020 and looking forward to 2021.
One of the few highlights of 2020. Anyway, you can find me at CG Sports everywhere, all the platforms. Also, Ace will be at my channel to do a pregame before the game around 11:30. So subscribe, hit that bell so you can, before we come on. Thank you, everybody. Have a safe day. We'll see you next time.
Happy New Year's.
Have you ever felt?
Are you listening? Damn.